Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Above the Bar podcast, where each week we belly up to the bar with a new guest, find out what they do, who they are, and what makes them great. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the Above the Bar podcast. It's your host, Sean. We've bellied up to the bar. Here it is, July 8th. We are post the 250th anniversary of this great nation. All the wonderful things about it. I don't care how you feel about it. Trust me, until you've traveled the world, we're doing pretty good, folks. The fact that you still get to bitch about it, be happy about that, because there's people that can't bitch about their countries. Just ask the English. Remember the guys that we whipped their ass and everything? They can't even bitch about their own country. Isn't that crazy? So why not have somebody here who's like, I guess they're another one that kicked the English out, and they were like English adjacent, and then they kicked them out. So why not have somebody? And then he went to like the whole other end, the other people who really couldn't stand him, the French side, who really were kicking their asses for a while. So to do all these kind of things, and I told him I have no idea how I'm going to introduce anyone. So that was a completely off the cuff one there. So joining us all the way from Canada, we're going to be talking about how is AI changing accounting, how we're doing business, all these different things. So joining us for all this, and I'm probably going to butcher his last name, it is Mr. Peter McCarroll.
You got
Did
it.
I get it right? Did I get
You
it
did.
right?
Wonderful.
You know, and big M, little C, big C. So
That's it. And double
so
everything
Peter's
else.
going to be. It's, you know what? It's funny you said double everything else, because I'm looking at your name as I'm typing it, and I kept having to go back. I'm like, is it two R's? Am I screwing this up? So yeah. So joining us today, it's Peter. He's up in just outside of Toronto, where I think he said he actually lives in the city of Letterkenny, which is actually a real place in Canada. If you didn't know that, and you like the show as much as I do, but it's not based on that place. But we're going to be talking about this. But before we get too far into it, as always, folks, let's take care of some house cleaning. So over my right shoulder, as always, is the big board for Sticker and a Cause. If you got something you believe in, something you want other people to know about, something you want people to talk about, you can reach out to us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, X. Our website is theabovethebarpodcast.com. Our email is theabovethebarpodcast@gmail.com. Reach out to us. Let us know what you got going on. I'll tell you where to send that sticker to. We'll get that sticker up here so everybody else can hear about you, see what you got going on. It's always the best way, I feel, to get people's message out there for other people to know what other folks have happening. So make sure you're reaching out to us there. And then let's talk about the people that pay the bills around here. And that's Budget Blinds of East Greenbush, Hudson, Coxsackie, Schoharie, Delmar, and Clifton Park. That's North America's largest custom window treatment company. They're handling everything from blinds, shades, shutters, drapery, window tint. If you can get it on a window, they can probably find a way to get it up there for you. And they're handling it all for you. That means measurement, installation. You just get to sit back and enjoy having beautiful different draperies in your home. And then we got to talk about the fact that this month they're doing 25% off of all their motorized shades. That's right, folks. 25% off of motorized shades. And again, as always, we know this is a fact. If you tell them you're there to belly up to the bar, they're going to give you another 25, or excuse me, another 25. They're not giving you another 25. They're going to give you another 5% off of that order. So that's an opportunity for you to get 30% off your entire order. So make sure you're reaching out to Budget Blinds of East Greenbush, Hudson, Coxsackie, Schoharie, Delmar, and Clifton Park, your number one place for finding custom window treatments. All right, there, Mr. Peter, all that part's done. How are you today?
I'm doing really well, thanks.
Is it snowing yet in Canada?
No, it's cooler this week, but we've had a bit of a heat wave lately. So in real temperatures, we had about 34 degrees last week. Now today is a bit cooler than that, but yeah, it's getting close to 100.
I just want you to know that all Americans think that it's already snowing in Canada. I just want you to know that. Like, we just assume that no matter what, as soon as like July starts, it must already be snowing up there. Just the way we feel about it. It's not personal. So, but we're going to be talking about this. I mean, I guess the first question I have for you before we even get too deep into any of it is, how did you get into the AI side of all this?
Yeah, well, look, I've been a CPA for almost 30 years, more than 30 years, 35 years. Started working for my dad when I was a late teenager, at university. He was a CA, a chartered accountant in New Zealand. So, I've just been in accounting my whole life. And, given the age that I am, I've seen the whole technology wave all the way from the very first personal computers up to the introduction of the internet. Yes, folks, there was a time when the internet didn't exist, and where
Lies.
computers didn't fit in your pocket. So I've seen it all, and yeah, I was a front runner in the cloud computing space. When QuickBooks Online and Xero came out, and I've just been working through it all. So I know exactly where things have been, and I can see where they're going. And I remember it was about May of 2024, and I just finished my busy season, and I was taking a breather, contemplating your navel, doing stuff like that, thinking about life and and the business and all that sort of stuff. And I was listening to some podcasts, and they were talking about AI, and I'd never touched anything like ChatGPT or stuff like this, but I'd been listening, and I was like, man, the stuff they're talking about, this is possible. Like, I've seen where it's come from. I know where it's going. What they're saying could happen. And I had this vision of me sitting on the side of the road with my head in my hands crying. And in front of me was this desk and this paperwork and this computer just literally flattened. And as I look to my left, there's this truck driving away, just having run through my business.
Wow, that's pretty intense, brother.
It's visceral, isn't it? And of course, I knew that the truck was AI. And I asked myself, who do I want to be? Do I want to be the guy sitting on the side of the road crying because I just lost my business? Or do I want to be the guy driving the truck?
Fair enough.
I decided I would rather be the guy driving the truck. And if that meant I had to destroy my business to rebuild it, that's what I would need to do.
It's interesting that you put it in those kind of terms because from the AI standpoint, and for those of you that are watching us live, if you got questions for us, please drop them in the chat. If you're liking this, it's appreciated to give it a like, share, follow. It does make a difference for us, folks. Especially you guys out on YouTube. Always love it when you show up. But from my own personal business that I have, I used to have somebody that did my sales tax for me and would go through and do it. And I basically sat down with chat and gave it all the information it needed, what had to be processed, when it had to be processed, how it had to be broken down by counties and things like that, and said, "Here you go." And chat was like, "Oh, okay. Here you go," and spit it out, verifying it on other documents, spit it out to the number. Like it was probably a little bit more accurate. So knowing things like that, and obviously they always say with AI and all that, it always has a disclaimer, hey, this is not legal advice, check with a professional. It's got a little CYA to it. But in your world with what you do from an accounting standpoint, how much now can accounting really be changed? Like where do I need the CPA at? And where can I, as if you're a solopreneur, an intrapreneur, an entrepreneur, or hell, you're just trying to manage your home budget, where do I actually need that personal interaction? And where can I save myself money and start using things like this?
Yeah, well, everything I say, keep in mind, look, I'm an active CPA, so I've got a job to protect in an industry that I love. But having said that, okay,
fair enough. I respect that.
So having said that, there's a lot of stuff that you can do yourself these days, and there's you can run your own QuickBooks or Xero Ledger. You can use ChatGPT or Claude to summarize your business transactions and even classify them onto a schedule. It's getting better and better every single month. But what AI is not yet good enough at is really telling you what to do next. Unless you're asking the right questions, it's not going to tell you things that you may have necessarily missed, or the traps that most business owners fall into without realizing it. And one of the challenges with anything online is that, it's scouring the internet, and there's a lot of bad advice on the internet. And so it doesn't always know, and again, look, it's getting better every single day. The learning models and the thinking models are getting so good. But, there's a lot of garbage on Reddit and on YouTube and TikTok. And, it's trained on that. So, sometimes you just got to be a little careful when you ask it a question. The first answer is usually not the best answer. You've got to prod it a little bit. You've got to challenge it. You've got to dig a little deeper to get that really relevant answer. And that's what an accountant is really good at. I mean, I use AI every single day, and I'm not ashamed to tell my clients when I've used AI to help me with answering their question. But I know that I can push where I need to push. I can spot when the answer is not quite 100% right, or maybe isn't in the right direction for this client, and I know how to get it to the space it needs to be. And a lot of the time I use AI to verify what I think I already know, and I just want to confirm that this old noggin here hasn't hallucinated first.
You haven't lost it yet.
Yeah.
Well, it's
so,
funny.
But
It's funny
as
you
a
say.
business owner, there's a lot of stuff you can do either to prepare for that conversation with your accountant, or to, do the first draft, or even keep your books. Even tools like QuickBooks now are building AI into the software. And this is a bit of a threat for accountants and bookkeepers, right? But, they're building AI into the software where it'll do its best guess to categorize your transactions. Now, I'll have to tell you, I don't know any bookkeeper that's happy with the way it does it yet. Most of the ones I know have switched off the AI in QuickBooks because it's so bad. They say it takes me more time to fix the mistakes than if I'd done it right the first time. So, look, it's not 100% yet. It might not even be 70% yet, but it's getting better every month. And there are brand new systems out there that have been designed from the ground up, which are going to make this so much easier.
So that I love that fact that it keeps updating and changing. And again, folks, if those of you that are joining, if you want to know more about what Peter's got going on, you can check out the AIaccountant.ai and see what he's got going on with this process and programming. And again, when I'm thinking about some of the things that you're mentioning here, with like building a chart of accounts out of it, going in, because I have QuickBooks and I look at it, and it's funny because I've looked at it and I'm like, you're not putting this in the right categories. I don't even know why you thought the 400 screw bags that we had to buy counted as entertainment or lunch. I don't even want to know where that came up, but no, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
With those things, and have to go back into it. So then, from your standpoint, having that accountant being able to go in and kind of be that voice of reason within it. If you were on the other side, then, and I'm going to make you take your CPA hat off for a second, and you were approaching it knowing what you know today, and you were starting a new business. What are some of the things that you would suggest to somebody? Let's hand this to AI at the beginning so that it starts to learn this process now. What are some of the things you would say?
Yeah, well, I'd always start with, building up, you want your AI tool to know as much about what you're doing as possible. So build a business plan, build a profile, start a marketing plan, do some competitive research. The more of this sort of stuff that you can build up into your AI brain, the better it's going to be to help you answer your questions and guide you going forward, whether it's to do the bookkeeping or whether it's to simply give you good strategic advice. I love using AI as what I call a thinking partner. And I actually talk to my AI. I joke that I talk to it more than I talk to my wife. I've got voice transcription tools, and so I'll just click a button on my keyboard and I'll just start talking, and I'll brain dump a whole bunch of stuff, and it will sort out when I went back on myself and changed my mind, and when I rambled, but it'll pull out those things. And then because it knows so much about me, I use Claude, and so I've got all this data in my Claude folder, and so it now it'll distill all of that stuff that I just brain dumped, and it'll find things that I missed, and it'll say, well, hey, you said you were thinking in this direction, but actually you said something else which I think might be even more relevant. Okay, so start to use it as a thinking partner, and especially if you've got a brand new business or a young business, and you're a solopreneur. It feels like, when I use Claude, it feels like I'm talking to a human that's a little smarter than me.
Isn't it scary?
Yeah, very, very scary. Yeah. And but this is where good use of AI can propel you forward, because it takes what you already know and it enhances it. It couldn't do it without me, but we're getting to the point where I couldn't do it without it. Like it's taking me places that maybe I hadn't thought of before.
I see. I get that completely. So I use it a lot um, for building sales training tools for my
Yep, it's
team.
great for that.
Just recently, it was speaking. I have a new designer that just came on board, and I'm like, God, I know I built this already. I completely forgot about a tool for him, and I was able to very easily pull it out. Now, did you start with a chat and then go to Claude like most people have?
Yeah. Yeah,
Now,
so
did
I,
you
I
do?
started learning about AI in 2024. I did a whole, prompt engineering course. I started teaching that to my team. I started teaching it to my clients. And then at the end of 2025, the world started shifting. And in January, I said, I need to buy myself a Mac. And I got myself Claude Cowork, and I haven't looked back ever since.
I
Now I
get
can
you.
do it. I've got a PC laptop, so I still sort of straddle between both worlds. But I haven't looked back. It's just
Look,
fantastic.
once you got a Mac, you're now into the adult computer world. Once you got a Mac,
I'm not sure I agree with that. That's a religious comment, but
ah,
no, I
it
do get it.
is.
My business partner is a Mac guy, and he thinks I've finally got salvation. So,
Well,
yeah,
I listen. I respect your business partner completely. It's funny because I can remember my ex brother-in-law. I wasn't a Mac guy at all. I thought it was very gimmicky, and he actually described it to me the best I ever heard it described, and that's why I carry the Apple stuff now. I was like, why would I spend at this time? It was like $1,200 for a Mac when I can go buy a Sony for $400 and it does the same
yeah,
thing. He's like, it doesn't do the same thing. He goes, but I will tell you this. He goes, you can if you want to get to where that Mac is, you have to go buy the $1,200 Sony. He said the big difference is Apple just doesn't start at a $400 garbage computer. It already
yeah,
starts at a 12. And I was like, you know what? That really makes a lot of sense, and started doing my research. And now I've got iPhones and iPads. The only thing I don't do is the watch. I need an
yeah.
adult watch. I need to keep an adult watch on me. Just something about the electronic watches. Unless it's the Transformers watch. Do you remember the Transformers watch? Where
Yeah.
you could actually like make it into a robot and everything. That was the best. But I digress. So, I mean, as you're building these tools, how about for people who are trying to transition, like you said, you saw the light, but you were willing to see the light. And thank you there. Oh, cool, Orchid. Thank you for the heart. I appreciate you. Um, for those folks that are out there right now that are like, they're scared of AI because they've heard, well, my kids get on, oh, do you know AI is destroying the environment? Every time you search on AI, there's a data center and it's burning the entire world to the ground. And I'm like, and I just tell them, hey, do you know when I was a kid there was a hole in the ozone? And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, there was a hole in the ozone.
It was right
I ain't
above
heard
New
shit
Zealand. I
about.
live there. That's right.
Yeah, right. And I'm like, I ain't heard shit about this hole in the ozone anymore. It's like, did somebody sew it up or something? So, I mean, what's your feelings? Look, Orchid says she's terrified of AI. Listen, Orchid, it's not coming. It's building robots that are coming to take you away or nothing. I promise you, no John Connor situations here. If you want to feel better about AI, completely sidebar from Peter, read the books, the Scythe series of books, where AI becomes what they call the Thunderhead, and it realizes that it needs to protect humanity and
Mm.
finds like purpose for everyone and jobs for everyone and everyone is like it's really kind of like utopian future with what they create. But moving on here. But what is some of your feelings though for those folks that are like Orkin? They're like, I'm terrified that AI is gonna take these things over. How do you work with somebody like that to transition into it?
Yeah. So the first thing I always say is we have to be realistic. There is a threat. There is a challenge that we have to be willing to accept. AI is fundamentally changing the business landscape. That is going to fundamentally change the employment landscape. Avoiding it doesn't make it go away. Okay, trying to shut down all the data centers won't work. Okay, yeah, we can regulate them, we can pass better laws, all of that stuff is good. I'm not opposed to that. But just because you're afraid of something doesn't make it less likely to hurt you. In fact, it makes it more likely to hurt you. So, if you're worried about it, yeah, there are some things we should be worried about. Don't want to deny that. But at the end of the day, like when I had that vision of my business, I could have stuck my head in the sand. I call that the ostrich move. I could have relied like my industry is doing right now and just say, oh well, we're professionals, and you can't replace professional judgment. I don't believe that for a minute. I could have just ignored it, and I still would have lost my business. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, maybe not even the year after that, but it will come. Okay. So avoiding it isn't the right answer. So at some point you have to say, I would rather be in control of my own destiny and at least go along for the ride than be afraid of the future. And that's hard for some. We said to all of my team, we said, because I've got about 12 staff, and I said, this is where we're going. I can't promise you what the future is going to look like. I want to bring you all with me. Some of you won't make it. But not because I didn't try, but because you weren't able to make the changes. And I think in my industry, there's such a shortage of accountants. I don't really see us not having to lay people off across the industry because of AI. I think it's just going to change the work that we do. We'll actually get more work done because of AI than have to let people go because there's less work. We're seeing this in the software industry space right now. Everyone's hearing about all these software layoffs. We're hiring, not we personally, but the industry is hiring more developers right now than it was 2 years ago.
And right, they're predictive engineers. We have a completely new industry, predictive engineers.
Yeah, exactly. And I forget the exact, is it Bernoulli's law or something like that? But when you make something cheaper, people want more of it. And you still need someone to drive the AI systems and to debug the hard problems and do all the bigger picture architecture stuff. We still need that to be done. So there's actually more work and there's more being produced, and it's being produced faster. So I think for accounting, that's what I'm looking at. I'm saying I don't think we're going to have a shortage of work. We have a shortage of people, and I don't see that changing. But what will happen is the work will change. And not everyone's going to be able to make that change to that new work. And yes, so there will be some people that might not have a job, but not because AI laid them off, because they were unable to keep up and make the change.
I agree with that. I heard this before, and I wanted to double check a stat. Do you know how many furriers and blacksmiths were in the U.S. in the 1900s? In 1900, the year 1900.
No.
30,000 of them. How many blacksmiths and furriers you know?
None.
Exactly. But the smart ones took those skills and then worked in factories, built parts for cars and all that stuff. And we would never today, stand out on the streets going, we need to bring these guys back. We need them back. We would never say that. So AI is the same way. It's we always hear this in every industry. Somebody's going to go, I can't believe that, this is going to come in. It's going to destroy us. We're going to lose jobs. No, whenever there's a new piece of equipment that takes away a job, there needs to be at least two more people who know how to fix that piece of equipment, know how to work on that piece of equipment, know how to sell that piece of equipment, know how to market that. We get wrapped around the axles because we feel like, oh, it's only me, I. So then I guess staying with that line of thinking though for a second, the dinosaur that's scared of AI and what it could do within their industry. Have you had any feedback or any of your clients even that when they find out that, hey, you're doing work with AI, and I'm thinking about, I have my lawyer, I sent him some stuff. We were changing some documents up, and I was like, hey, This is what I did. This is what I put together. And I started it through chat using some other people's stuff. And I put something together and I said, hey, can you double check this? And he sent me back some questions. And I knew right away, based on the way his questions came back, he ran it through chat again.
Yep.
I'm like, I, I just paid this guy $600 to do exactly what I did, but he did it on his end, asking questions from a lawyer standpoint of view to chat. And I'm like, that was expensive ass shit for him to just run this through. So, but have you had anything from your clients when they find out you're doing so much with AI where you've got any bucking from them?
Not yet. I mean, yes, I'm sure there'll be some. There'll be some that expect it to be cheaper because I'm using AI. The way I look at it is AI is accelerating what I could have done. If I've got a client that's trying to sell their business and they received a letter of intent from their buyer, and it's it's multiple pages long. I'm not a lawyer, so I took that, I put that into Claude, I asked Claude to analyze it, I told it what I was looking for, it gave me some highlights, I talked with Claude about it, we went backwards and forwards on it, and I said this is where I'd like to end up, and it helped me rewrite the paragraphs, and I sent that back to my client. Now, if I had to have done that all by hand, first of all, it wouldn't have been as thorough. And secondly, it would have taken me 3 hours instead of 30 minutes. So the client won. The client got a much better result. They don't know what they're doing in this space. So they're relying on me to be able to help them with the right direction. I've spoken with them. I've got their heartbeat. I know what they're concerned about. I was able to guide the AI to help me get to the place we needed to be in a way that we now have something, we could talk back to the buyer and the buyer accepted what we said. And now it's ready to now go to the lawyer. Okay. So yeah, is the buyer, is my client better off because I'm using AI? I think they are heaps better off.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you just said, how many hours did you just save?
Yeah.
You're not
I reckon
sure.
I saved 2 or 3 hours on that exercise.
And you got the wave top information, which was what everybody was looking for.
And I got them to the outcome they wanted much faster. And these particular clients, they wouldn't have been able to do that themselves. Now, some of them could, like you. They could have gone in there and done that themselves. But the other end of that question is, I know what I'm looking for.
That's what I was about to ask next.
Of what's right and what's wrong. This is the big differentiator between AI that produces slop and AI that produces quality answers. I know how to give it the right background information and context so that it gives me relevant answers. I know how to detect when something doesn't feel right about its answers, where it's hallucinating or where maybe it's gone a little off track and I have to correct it. And I know where I want to dig deeper because it's raised something and I'm thinking, there's a problem there that I need to know more about. Now, if you had done that same thing, if you'd been my client, you wouldn't know those 3 pressure points to look out for.
No.
That's the difference between a professional using AI and an amateur using AI.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It as you were mentioning, going off the rails, I use it for my kids and I got very into the card game Magic the Gathering. I don't know if you remember it or not. It's very into it and all that, and building decks out of it. But you just reminded me, like, I can't tell you how many times just using it for that entertainment side, and it's like, you should get rid of this card and add that card. And I'm like, we've already done that, and he goes, you're absolutely right. I forgot about that. And I'm like, how is the computer forgetting something and I'm remembering it? So you definitely have to have an aware look, an aware eye for what you're looking at here. And again, folks, if you want to know what Peter's got going on or you want to check out what he's got happening, you can go to the aiaccountant.ai to see what he has happening. So back over here for a minute, looking over some stuff. So then you said you have a partner now. Were you the one that said, "Hey, we need to get more into this," or were they the one that said you need to get more into it?
No, I was the one that I sort of carry most of the tech stuff in the firm, and so I came to him and I said, "Hey, this is what I'm hearing. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm thinking. We need to start work on this now and not wait another year or two before we start embracing this." And he was
So how
fully
did
on
you
board.
build their
He's older
confidence?
than me, so but he's very tech savvy, and he said, "Yeah, you're right. Let's make this a high priority."
So you didn't have to really champion it to him and or anything. He was kind of like, "Yep, looks like a duck, quacks like a duck. Makes sense to me."
Yeah,
So he wasn't sitting in his office with an obelisk. What are
abacus.
those
No,
abacus? There you go, with an abacus. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, Peter. This is perfectly fine. So
no,
that wasn't happening. Gotcha.
no.
I was just double checking there. See how real tech savvy he really is. And you're
When I started, my dad had one of those big green 10 keys. You typed with all fingers like this, and he
oh
was a
really?
whiz at it. That. So I've seen all the technology.
I wanted to mention this to folks. So, if you think that Peter's just like, hey, he's just another CPA, and I'm seeing if I can get all this right here. Chartered accountant in New Zealand, certified accountant in Canada. They don't really have any money in Canada. I thought like they just traded maple syrup, but that's impressive. Certified profit
Or
first
poutine, maple
professional
syrup or poutine. It's interchangeable.
poutine. Listen,
Yeah,
back to the poutine conversation,
yeah,
folks. If you've had poutine and you like it, take your ass to Montreal and have poutine with smoked meat.
yeah,
That is the game changer in poutine. I must tell you. Um, what is a zero XERO? Is that zero?
yeah. That's an
Zero?
online accounting system similar to QuickBooks Online.
Okay, so zero platinum partner, two times zero award winner, zero con presenter, Auckland. You didn't know I could say Auckland. Neither did I. And then all your years in counting. So I mean, folks, we're not talking to somebody today who's just like, so I bought a book called Accounting for Dummies, and I've been doing this for a couple days. It's pretty awesome. And then we all know he's got a lot of money because he just raised the SpaceX mug. Go ahead and wave that at everybody's face. Let me go ahead and get my coffee mug out here from Mega Mart.
It's even better when you turn it around.
What's on the other side? Is it Elon? Oh, it's
It's
Mars.
it's a, it's Mars, and when the cup is hot, you can see it like a planet, and when it cools down, it goes red. I bought this the other
Uh,
week when I was at the Kennedy Space Center in Orlando. It's fantastic.
so have you ever listen, sidebar, left turn for a moment. Have you heard the conspiracy theory of why Elon is investing in certain things like the tunnel project out in California, all the robots, all these different all the AI or the heaviness in AI and all that. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, well, it's probably not a conspiracy, but yeah, go on.
Well, the one where it's like, hey, he's working on these tunnels in California because when they get to Mars, you're going to have to be using tunnel systems there.
Yep,
Building all these robots that can work autonomously because on the surface, you're not going to be able to really put too many people on the surface, but you can load up the surface full of robots
yep.
and they can do any work you need them to do. Like somebody was like kind of breaking it down online one day, and I'm like, when you hit that certain level of genius, and here's the real level of genius. This is one of my favorite one. Like Henry Ford, they asked him all the questions about like some reporter asked him all these questions. He's like, hold on, and he brought some guy in the bunch of guys in the room, and they all answered the questions for him. And the guy's like, well, you don't know these things. He's like, I don't have to. I can hire the right people who do, and
Yeah.
that's what these guys do, and that's really kind of right back to AI. This is an ability to hire an employee that you really don't have to pay more than $20 a month. I use the regular chat. I use the premium chat, so I can hire an employee for $20 a month and doesn't take breaks, doesn't take time off, doesn't go out, on sick days, doesn't take vacations to Bermuda. He just shows up every day when I need him. And I don't know how you were taught to do it, but I was taught talk to chat like he's an intern.
Well, now you can talk to him like he's your research assistant or a PhD student. He might not always deliver the goods, but you actually don't have to treat him like an idiot anymore. And one of the changes that's happened in the last 6 months in terms of how you use AI is we used to have to be very descriptive and very instructive, like talking to an intern. Do this, then do this, then do this. Now the model is tell it what you want to achieve, the big picture. Give it some background information and let it work out how to get from where you are to where you want to be.
Let it do the learning. Let it
Yeah.
let it do its learning.
Yep. And
It's
it'll go out, it'll search the web, it'll create a work plan, it'll work out what data it needs, it'll ask you for data it hasn't got, and it'll try to work out how to deliver the goal you've set for it.
it's wild, man. It really
Yeah.
is a wild, wild world. So then in the accounting world, and I'm just kind of spitballing this idea, do you see this turning into a system where eventually, we have the 1040 EZ down here in the States, uh, where somebody can just take their 1040 EZ and just, drop their W-2 into a system and it just, there you go.
Well,
There's your
actually,
answer.
so uh, I think you'll be at a point where you won't even need to file a tax return. Now, I know there are a lot of political opinions on whether that's a good idea or not. I'll just tell you that I'm from New Zealand, and in New Zealand they simplified the tax system, and most salary and wage earners do not even need to file a tax return anymore because the system is so regular, so predictable. We don't have, they got rid of most of the deductions. That's the problem. The deduction for this and the credit for that, and that's why it's so complicated. That's why you need an accountant. And New Zealand just said we don't need this. Let's simplify the tax system, make sure the withholdings at source are regular, and all the data gets sent in electronically. And if there's anything wrong, we'll let you know. And if you're a little unusual, maybe you're a business owner, maybe you've got other income, sure, file a tax return. Okay. But if all you've got is the normal stuff, like 90% of the population, you don't need to file a tax return. We'll tell you if there's a problem and we'll work it out with you. End of story. So I think eventually that's where you'll get. Now I know there's a whole political movement around whether the government should be calculating your taxes. I won't go into that too much, but certainly I wouldn't like that for a self-employed person. But
Right.
for a regular person, just regular wages and salaries, it should be quite achievable. So yeah, you're absolutely right. At some point, you'll just log on to a system, say, "Yep, that is my income, done," and it's
Yes.
calculated at full. Yeah.
See, that makes perfect sense. But see, I'm a flat tax guy. I'm a flat tax guy.
Well, that would be the next level. New Zealand's got 4 levels of tax, 4 tax rates.
Okay.
The best option is a flat tax.
It
That
really
way,
is.
the deductions are automatic. There's no, everything is just so simple. And yeah, I would agree with you.
And
That
there's
would be
no
the ideal
hiding.
solution.
Shit.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be hid, folks.
There's
If you
no
don't know what
games to
flat,
play.
there's nothing.
Yeah.
If you want to know about flat tax, folks, basically, here, see if I get it right, Peter. You tell me if I jack this up. Depending upon where you live, and I'll go ahead and go with here in New York where I'm at, just south of Peter. So I lose a third. If you're a regular wage earner, you lose a third of your paycheck to taxes, whether it be state, federal. And I ain't figured that one out yet. How my taxes keep going up and I still lose the same third doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm not a math genius. So you lose a third of your paycheck to taxes. So now you're down to 67 cents, folks. Then you turn around and you go and purchase something that they charge you an 8% tax on.
Yep.
So your 67 cents, you just lost 8% on that. So you're now down to, do the math, 59 cents on the dollar. So you're down to 59 cents. And that's not counting anything else that you've been taxed on that same dollar. So for every dollar you have, you lose at least somewhere around 41 cents on the dollar to taxes, or you could go to a flat tax system that typically runs at about 37 to 35%. And the only time you're taxed is when you buy goods. That's it. You buy something, you pay a tax on it. Uncle Sam isn't, you get your whole paycheck. Your whole paycheck just shows up. And if you want to spend money, you spend money. If you want to be a DIYer and keep all your money, then be a DIYer and keep all your money. Did I get it about right, Peter?
More or less. Most flat taxes talk about an income tax and try and deal everything with an income tax. But yeah, it
My, my
simplifies the system so much, whether it be a flat sales tax or a flat income tax or a combination.
my friend Kathy is over on Instagram and she just said, I just had this conversation with an IRS regulator friend a few weeks ago. Tax is such a rigged system. Well, it's theft. I mean, 100% it's theft.
Legalized theft. Absolutely.
Yeah. See, this is great when you hear it. So my accountant has said to me more times than I can tell you, he's like, Murph, no one on the planet I've ever met hates taxes more than you. It's like it's scumball bullshit. And people are like, well, how are we going to fix the roads? Like, we had roads. Rome had roads. We had roads. They've always been here, folks. Like, we'd figure it out. Like, I'm a big fan of you probably don't know him, Larry Sharp. You ever heard the name?
I've heard the name. Yeah.
So Larry Sharp's a gubernatorial candidate down here, and what I love about the guy is he says things like, "Hey, all your bridges, why are we paying taxes on bridges? Why don't you just sell the naming rights to a corporation, and then they have to take care of it the same way we sell the naming rights to a stadium?" I'm like, dude, that's genius. Like, oh, this
Capitalism at
is.
its best.
Do you know how many companies would jump all over the idea of having their name on like the Tappan Zee Bridge, the Verizon Bridge? They would love that. They'd be like, "Sure, get us money."
So
So
we're going to go on Verizon today or Comcast today? Let's decide.
right, exactly. Like, are we taking the Comcast? Like, which one? Like, instead of the George Washington, it's the Comcast. How
Yeah.
great would that be? I mean, it just makes perfect sense to me. So, uh, then what? So in all this, we kind of talked about it. And again, folks, if you want to know what Peter's got going on, you want to know more about what he's doing as the AI accountant, you can go ahead and check out and I'm actually double checking myself, make sure I did all this right. The AI accountant.ai, and you can see how come that didn't work for me? Oh, because I'm illiterate. That's why. If you want to know, Peter, I'm illiterate. I spelled accountant wrong. And now there it is. So you can check out his website, the AI accountant, to see what he's got going on. So then, what's kind of, in your opinion? I know we were just talking about the taxes going away, but then what is like? Do you foresee maybe just like we're talking about Claude and Chat, which are kind of broad AI systems? We talked a little bit about the QuickBooks system, but do you foresee a system where we really have AIs that are like more like, hey, this is an AI built just for accounting. This is an accounting
Oh, yeah.
AI.
We,
That's what
we
it.
already have several versions of those.
Oh, do we really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so different vendors are building AI into their platforms. I was just at a couple of conferences last month, and of course, every vendor's got AI something or other. So there's whole industries around tax AI, tax GPT. As a product, there's AI for workflows within tax and AI for bookkeeping, and it's definitely a growing field. Yeah.
So, but not like a broad sense, like a chat. And I'm just kind of thinking, like, is there like a broad sense version where like chat's a very broad? I can ask it anything. Where I can an accounting version where I'm like, hey, this is my chart of accounts. I want you to go through it, see if we can streamline this and add in, or am I missing anything? Something along those lines. Is there a system like that?
Well, the tax area is the one that's got the most attention in that space, and yes, there are tax engines that have been specifically trained on IRS legislation, state tax legislation, etc. So for accountants, that we've got those tools already. The main LLMs like ChatGPT and Claude, they do really well understanding accounting processes. Okay. So, but those that want to get maybe more financial, there are new models coming out or new tools that are coming out that have been specifically trained on how to handle numbers, how to handle financial analysis kind of stuff as well. So yeah, we're seeing both the hyper focused models coming out, like for tax analysis, as well as the general models with extra, we call it harnesses, extra stuff that's going on that really helps get the work of accounting done as well.
I say I love. I'm going to go back to something here in a second, but it's almost time. It's that last call here, folks. The best things aren't rushed. Have you ever noticed that the best things in life usually take a little longer? A great conversation, a lasting friendship, a memorable evening, and a truly great whiskey. This episode is brought to you by New Scotland Spirits, where every bottle is handcrafted in small batches right here in upstate New York. They don't chase trends, they don't cut corners, they focus on quality, using locally sourced grains, time-honored craftsmanship to create whiskey that's meant to be enjoyed, not hurried. So the next time you're gathered with friends celebrating a milestone, or simply taking a well earned moment for yourself, reach for a bottle that's made with intention. Visit newscotlandspirits.com to learn more and find your next favorite pour. I can't get the words out today. English is tough. New Scotland Spirits, because the best things in life are worth taking your time. And that's why we're taking our time with Peter today, because he's helping us to figure all this stuff out. And again, folks, the AI accountant. One of the things you said a minute ago, and it's so wild to think about it this way, because we talked a little bit about predictive engineers, and if you don't know what that is, folks, those are the people that are creating AI today. They sit down, they go through, and they predict on the terms and stuff that needs to be used. But with hearing you say it's trained, it reminds me of like something out of Star Wars or Star Trek, where we're like, this robot is only trained for these tasks, and it's been trained that way. It doesn't do anything else. This is what its purpose is. I Brother, I'm only fit. Well, I'll be 50 here in a couple of weeks, but I never in my life would have thought, you know, we're really training robots. I mean, if you think about it, because sooner or later, this technology, once they can stabilize these things for movement, is going to go into a robot.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to be your next receptionist, is going to be a robot sitting there going, "What floor would you like to go to, sir?" "Oh, I'll see if they're available." Like
You can already
that's
get
what's
the
going to.
robots answering the phones. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they're already there. They're already there. So let's see here. Bum, bum, bum. So I'm just over at your site for a second. So let's talk about this for a second, because if these things don't work, and you don't keep your business going, reality of it is, brother, nobody's you'll be sitting there. You really will be talking to chat, and
Yeah,
you'll be like,
that's right.
Chad, why? So
So
what are some
on
of
my
the things we
website
got
there,
going
I'm,
on?
I'm I'm really talking to other accountants. One of the things that I do is I run programs and training and learning exercises for other accountants to get their head around what does it mean for my industry for AI to come in and shake us up. We're going to get shaken up. So that's what the AIaccountant.ai is all about. It's talking to other accountants, not to business owners or the public, but to other accountants about, hey, this is what's coming. How are you going to prepare for it? What are your clients going to expect? What's it going to mean for your revenue? What's it going to mean for your client's service? How do we support our clients in this new world? So that's really what I'm doing with the AI accountant. I still run my own practice, Fuel Accountants. We've got clients in the US, Canada, and New Zealand, and we serve business owners as well. So but the AI accountant is specifically talking to accountants. So if you're out there listening, and you're a CPA or a bookkeeper, go to the accountant.ai and we're happy to have a chat with you. And if you're looking for an accountant, maybe that's a little bit more switched on, go to fuelaccountants.com. Mario and I would be happy to talk to you.
And thank you for that. I'm gonna probably mess your name up, and I probably Kashert Talk. If I'm messing that up, I'm glad you're enjoying this. If you have any questions for Peter, please drop them in the chat here. I saw something on here as I was going through your site, and I was curious. I know what Six Sigma and Black Belt there is, but there's an AI version of this. Is it similar to like a Six Sigma?
I'm not sure exactly what you spotted there, but
It
I'd
says
say it's
AI
not.
Black Belt training.
Oh, yeah, Blackboard training. Yeah. Okay. So that was actually the program that got me into AI in the first place, run by a consulting group called Simple Consultants. Fantastic material, and that's what I first learned. That's what I taught my staff. That's what I taught my clients. Was how to use AI using this black belt training program. And basically, the black belt is just a metaphor for your martial arts. You start with the white belt, you go to the yellow belt, then the blue and the green, and all the way to black belt. And so it was just a way of progressing through the levels of expertise. And so now I've taken that metaphor and I've built a program called the Practice Transformation Program. And so now I walk accountants through that black belt metaphor of how do you go your deepening levels of expertise to rebuild your practice so that you can survive all the new stuff that's coming with AI.
Kitty just said over here, she said, I'm a CPA and a bank regulator. So much maturing in my old age, talking about all these different items. So, and so now this black belt training, because I'm curious of it, because I like it. Is this something that anybody could use as far as AI is concerned, or is it very focused on your world?
Well, the one that I've created is very focused on accountants.
Okay.
That program, to be really honest, we don't offer that black belt program really anymore because it was written for the old prompt language. You know how you talked about treating it like an intern. Well, it was
Right.
written for that. Well, the world's changed in the last 6 months. We actually don't even offer that. I've been talking to one of my business partners about taking that off the site because we don't really offer it anymore. I've rewritten it now. It's shorter. And I've rewritten it, more for accountants to get them into the world of, hey, how do you use these new thinking models as an accountant? What are some of the things that we would do, maybe that you wouldn't do, Sean? How do we make sure that we're using it the best way that we can? So I've got a 5-session version, not a 9-session version. That's a lot shorter. That takes an accountant through the basics, the fundamentals of prompting, for AI. And then I've got a version that's focused on using Claude as an accountant because it's got some really strong tools. If you're going to use Claude Cowork. So
Claude's
those are the new things
interesting.
that need to go up on the site to replace that one.
Claude's interesting to me because I'm very into chat, and then I met a gentleman at a group that I belong to, and he's very into AI and training people in AI. Who's like, you can just there's a way that you can take because this was my concern. He's like, you can take everything you're doing in chat and transfer it over to Claude. Claude will
Mm-hmm.
take it and move it right on over for you. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, Claude will move it all, analyze it, organize it, the whole 9 yards. And I'm like, wow, like that's like moving your office and somebody moving it for you because I've got so much that I do within this system. Um, so I'm trying to think of like I'm just your website's got me a little fascinated here because I'm just looking at how these different pieces flow together and the things. So then, what's next on the list then for you when you're talking about all these things? If somebody wanted to find you, Peter, they wanted to meet with you. What's the process for all this?
Yeah. So if you're an accountant, go to the aiaccountant.ai. If you're not an accountant, you can email me, peter@fuelaccountants.com. That's FUEL accountants.com. Happy to have a chat with you. I work with business owners as well as accountants. And I'm fascinated by what's happening with AI. I love to share stories with other people about what they're doing and the problems they're having. And if there's a way I can help you, I'd love to.
Peter, I didn't realize that was you on the front page of Fuel, man. That with your arms folded in the background of that first picture, man, at the top. That's a pretty rugged photo of you there.
I call it my kick-ass picture.
Yeah, I mean
Because I look like a badass, right?
I mean arms folded the whole 9 yards. I
Yeah,
see the one. So I just was flipping through to see that one. So Fuel itself is more focused on like, hey, if I needed accounting help, I can go to Fuel.
yeah,
If I was accounting professional, then I'm going to go to the AI accountant.
that's right. Got
And Miss Orchid says, "Thank you so much for calming me down."
it.
She's, it's okay. Listen, Orchid. They tried the whole AI thing with trains. It really didn't hasn't worked so far. Railroaders are antiquated people who refuse. That's where her and I met when I first retired out of the Marine Corps. We're both on the railroad. It's like, yeah, this is not the place where anything new or innovative happens. No, no one's on the railroad being like technology. Those people, yeah, see that's true. We still use the brake system that Westinghouse invented. You realize that, right? Like, and when I say Westinghouse, I mean like the person, like Westinghouse himself, invented
Mr.
those. So
Westinghouse, yes.
Mr. Westinghouse invented the braking system that all trains use, and we still use it to this day.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're really running out there to new technology. They put it here real quick. Sidebar. Here's an AI thing for you with trains. They came up with this idea. I got on the railroad in 2014. They came up with this idea like 2 or 3 years prior to that, where they were gonna have a system that would assist engineers on how to stop the train. It would predict issues, and they had all these pucks. It didn't exist. So they made the railroaders come up with an idea, invent something. They fought tooth and nail for like 10 years. Like, we're not doing this. We're not going to do this. before they had to be drugged, kicking and screaming till they finally did it. And they're like, and then guys are like, man, I need to operate this train the way I know how. And then all of a sudden they were all just quiet. They're like, "Oh, this is way easier. I have to do shit." Railroaders are the best. I love them that way. So, well, listen, folks, we're getting ready to close the bar here. I know I'm drifting off. I was just thinking about all the different spots in my life where I find AI. And if you didn't know it, folks, and if you think you're scared of AI, I'm going to help you out with something real quick. You know those times when you're typing on your phone and you start typing a word and it finishes it for you, and then it jumps over, or you use talk to text and it fills out what you're saying? Yeah, that's AI, folks. That's AI figuring out what you've been saying. So whether you like it or not, we've all been doing it. Autocorrect is AI. So
Yeah.
again, as always, if you're finding me through Peter or Peter through me, make sure you take a time, give it a like, share, follow, all those different things. It makes life so much easier. It's how Peter gets found. It's how we get found. It's how the show grows. Whatever platform you're listening to us on and watching us on right now, taking a moment and just giving that thing a like, share, and follow really will make a difference. And make sure you join us next week. Also, we do this every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got a gentleman coming on next week. His name is Raymond Foster. He's the author of a book called The Temple Within, a book that uses symbolism, philosophy, and real life experiences to explore how men grow through adversity, reflection, service, and self mastery. I love the idea of this. He's taken his life through law enforcement, leadership, public service, and he's a Freemason. Experiences that shaped his understanding and resilience, identity, and what it truly means to live with intention. So I
Mhm.
love that idea. Uh, Cashier just sent a LinkedIn request to you, Peter. Look forward to connecting. Amazing content. Thank you, bud. Please give the show a follow. We have a lot of cool stuff like this one all the time. Uh, give him give him a follow, or can make sure you're following him. I know you will. Uh,
Absolutely.
she's the best. She's been a guest on here. Uh, so make sure you're doing all that. So check that out. Now, how we do things every week on here, Peter, is the guest. All well, we got like a minute, and I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose any time with you. All right, what is? Here's what we're gonna do. Moving to Canada. Now we already talked about poutine. What is the one meal from New Zealand you miss?
Fish and chips.
From New Zealand?
Yeah. It's a British thing, but New Zealand does it really well. And yeah, just growing up, that was a staple. The other one, of course, my daughter will tell you, meat pies. Meat pies. The other thing. Those are the two things that I took my daughter. She's now 20. A couple of years ago, I took her back to New Zealand with me for a visit, and the first thing we had to do was we literally just landed was go and have meat pies for lunch. And the last thing we did before we got back on the plane when we left Wellington was we had to go to our old fish and chip shop in our old neighborhood where we used to live. And we had one just at the end of our driveway, a few doors away. So we went there, we bought fish and chips, and we ate it in the park for lunch. That was our last,
Oh,
almost our last supper, last meal before we left New Zealand. So, they sell fish and chips here in Canada. It's not the same. It's the fish meat in New Zealand. We actually use shark meat, and it's
what?
thicker. It's thicker, but it's got
Really?
this distinct taste. Yeah, absolutely. And it's just one of those things. You grow up with the flavor, with the texture. That's the taste of home, right?
I
And
get it.
so you just can't get it the same here.
I get it. Well, if you ever make your way into Albany, uh, we do a pretty good fish and chips out of Albany. I have to tell you,
Okay.
Ted's Fish Fry. So
Okay.
it's not too shabby. So, alrighty. Well, here's the end of it, there, Peter. So at the end of every show, the guest always gets the final word. So what's our final word for tonight? And don't log off on me afterwards. You just got to talk for a minute.
Sure, no worries. Final word for everybody listening. Don't be afraid of AI.
Alrighty, folks. Be sure to push your stool in.
This has been a Second Front podcast presentation found on Apple, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found.